तारे जिसकी गर्दे राह हूँ, वो कारवां तू है।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope all of you are in the best state of iman and health. Today we're going to start unit number 3. The title of unit number 3 is My Early Home. In this unit, basically, you're going to read about a horse and her colt. Colt is a baby horse. So let's start reading. The first place that I can well remember was a large, pleasant meadow with a pond of clear water in it. Some shady trees leaned over it, and rushes and water lilies grew at the deep end. Over the hedge on one side we looked into a plowed field, and on the other we looked over a gate at our master's house, which stood by the roadside. At the top of the meadow was a grove of fir trees, and at the bottom a running brook overhung by a steep bank. Now this is the description of the place in which the story is set. You can see it seems like a very beautiful, very peaceful place. While I was young, I lived upon my mother's milk, as I could not eat grass. In the daytime I ran by her side, and at night I lay down close by her. When I was hot, we used to stand by the pond in the shade of the trees, and when it was cold, we had a nice warm shed near the grove. As soon as I was old enough to eat grass, my mother used to go out to work in the daytime and come back in the evening. So, the horse is telling us that the horse is narrating the story, and it is telling us that when it was younger, it used to drink its mother's milk, and they had different arrangements for hot and cold weather. But when the colt grew up, then her mother used to go out to work in the daytime. There were 6 young colts in the meadow besides me. They were older than I was. Some were nearly as large as grown-up horses. I used to run with them and had great fun. We used to gallop all together round and round the field as hard as we could go. Sometimes we had rather rough play, for they would frequently bite and kick as well as gallop. So here the horse is mentioning about how he had fun at the farm. One day, when there was a good deal of kicking, my mother whined to me to come to her. And then she said, I wish you to pay attention to what I am going to say to you. The colts who live here are very good colts, but they are cart horse colts. And of course, they have not learned manners. You have been well bred and well born. Your father has a great name in these parts, and your grandfather won the cup 2 years at the Newmarket races. Your grandmother had the sweetest temper of any horse I ever knew, and I think you have never seen me kick or bite. I hope you will grow up gentle and good and never learn bad ways. Do your work with good will, lift your feet up well, and when you trot, and never bite or kick, even in play. So one day when they had a rough play, which means that the horses bit each other and kicked each other, the mother of the colt called the colt to herself and advised her that he should show some manners. Why? Because all his family were very well mannered horses. Okay. I have never forgotten my mother's advice. I knew she was a wise old horse, and our master thought a great deal of her. Her name was Duchess, but he often called her Pet. Our master was a good, kind man. He gave us good food, good lodging, and kind words. He spoke as kindly to us as he did to his little children. We were all fond of him, and my mother loved him very much. When she saw him at the gate, she would neigh with joy and trot up to him. He would pat and stroke her and say, Well, old pet, and how is your little darky? I was dull black, so he called me Darky. Then he would give me a piece of bread, which was very good, and sometimes he brought a carrot for my mother. All the horses would come to him, but I think we were his favorites. My mother always took him to the town on a market day in a little gig. So, in this paragraph, the little horse, the colt, is telling us about his master, and we have learned from this paragraph that the master was a very kind man. There was a plowboy, Dick, who sometimes came into a field to pluck blackberries from the hedge. When he had eaten all he wanted, he would have what he called fun with the colts, throwing stones and sticks at them to make them gallop. We did not mind him much, for we could gallop off, but sometimes a stone would hit and hurt us. So now the colt is telling us about a boy whose name is Dick, who is a little naughty, and he used to tease the horses, okay, by throwing sticks and stones at them. One day he was at his game and did not know that the master was in the next field, but he was there, watching what was going on. Over the hedge he jumped in a snap, and catching Dick by the arm, he gave him such a box on the ear as made him roar with pain and surprise. As soon as we saw the master, we trotted up nearer to see what went on. "Bad boy," he said, "bad boy to chase the colts. This is not the first time, nor the second, but it shall be the last. There, take your money and go home. I shall not want you on my farm again." So one day the master, who was a kind person, he caught the boy Dick throwing stones and sticks at the horses and teasing them. So he punished him, okay, he beat him and he scolded him that from now onwards I don't want you on my farm, okay. He fired the boy. So we never saw Dick anymore. Old Daniel, the man who looked after the horses, was just as gentle as a master, so we were well off. That was all for today. Thank you very much, all of you. Stay blessed.